Awesome. Welcome, everybody. This is the implementation workshop here in the Academy. Oh my God, I got some good news for you. One of the things that we've been doing and, give you a little bit of the background story is that we launched a new program, and that is called, it's a certification program in the Hispanic market. We've had, oh my God, such a huge acceptance. Let me tell you what we did. We're looking for bilingual professionals and attorneys trained in Latin America. Now, why were we looking for attorneys in Latin America or bilingual professionals? The attorneys also must be bilingual, okay? It's just because it helps them to be able to secure better opportunities in the United States. Some of them ask me, I don't speak very well, or I'm not bilingual. Is there an opportunity for me? And I keep telling them, yes, there is. But your options are limited. If you only speak one language, you can only live in one world. If you speak two languages, you can live in two different worlds. Okay? So it opens your opportunities. And what we did was we launched a program where we are going to train them in immigration forms. Oh, who's with me with that? Okay? I'm starting to catch the idea, because this is what happened. We interview people. We have our own needs, we have our annexes needs, and I know our annexes, need to have personnel that they can say, hey, listen, I need you, maybe not as a full-time employee, but how about as a contractor, where you can handle this particular project, okay, where they can call the people, get the forms, get the packages, put them together, and they understand what to do. Well, as we go to do this, and we interview people, we find that they want, but they don't have the know-how. So we launched a program in Latin America, and we had over 1,700 people raise their hand and said, I'm interested, in the last 2 weeks. And what happened is that they're saying, I'm capped out. I've been an attorney for 10, 15, 20 years, and I'm capped out. And, I have a possibility to work as an independent contractor, not as an employee. I can still do what I do and generate some dollars in my economy. That is a game changer for a lot of them. So we launched this program to train them so that they can become certified in particular areas of immigration, and then they can bring that knowledge back, and say, hey, I can help you guys with this, or I can work with you guys in this particular project. So that is to all of our benefits, all right? So we launched this program, and now we just started training them. They're totally blown away about, what is required. So we're like for the professionals that are bilinguals or the attorneys that are bilinguals, because they have those critical thinking skills. And then, so we're bringing them in, and we're going to start introducing them into our own private Facebook group. You're going to start seeing interviews with them so that they're going to be available to be able to assist you in your projects in project base. That way, you're not tied into somebody that you have to think about how I got to find work for them or how do I keep them busy, but they're going to be doing project based. Okay. Is that okay with everybody? Yes. Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for everybody following us up or here in TikTok. So one of the things that I did was also, as we're growing, and this is important, I'm going to share a link with all of you here in the group, is because as we're growing, we want to be able to bring more people in. And just like you do in your businesses, there's something really, really important that we all need to understand. We all wear different hats during the day, but there's a primary hat that we wear, and there's a secondary hat that we wear. Now, Patrick Lencioni wrote a book, and it's called The Working Genius. And it is fascinating. And the book came with a chart, okay, which is this one right here. It's so cool. When I read the book, I was totally impressed. And it says, these are the 6 primary areas that people have, so he talks about the wonder, the discerner, the enabler, the invention, galvanizing, and tenacity. What are those that are responsive and disruptive in the workplace? And us as CEOs, or whatever our role is, COO, CEO, CFOs, whatever our role is in a particular business, and most of the time we consider ourselves CEOs, we need to understand that we have a strength and that we also have a weakness. Okay, so having said that, if we understand that, we need to know and understand that our people are exactly the same way. They have a strength and they have a weakness. And we need to know what those strengths are, and we need to know what those weaknesses are. Because once we understand this, then we can actually place them in the correct role. We know that this person is good for this role, put them there. But they also have a secondary role. So they have to fill in for somebody else, or they have to perform a secondary role. We always know that we can switch them back and forth, but they have a primary role. For an example, you can't put somebody who dislikes or somebody who is an introvert in an extrovert position. They're going to fail. And we are responsible for that failure. Okay, so that is the one thing that we want to do. We want to always make sure that we're putting people in the right place in our organizations. And how do we do that? Well, let me give you a little story of something that happened to me, and then I am going to give you a tool that's going to help you how to do this. And this came about back in the late 1800s. There was a newspaper that was used to be written in Philadelphia called the Philistine, okay, of all names. And there was a particular issue that had to go out. And this was right after the Spanish-American War, where the United States got involved, and, you know, we liberated the island of Cuba and the Philippines. And what happened was that as this particular issue was getting ready to go to print, there was one column that needed to be written. And the editor couldn't figure out what to write about to put in that particular column. Okay, so one day he's sitting at home, their whole family's having dinner, and they're all talking about, you know, what subject could he write about in that column so that he could go to print, you know, with the magazine for this month. And, you know, people were suggesting different names. This was right after the Spanish-American War. They were talking about, you know, remember the Maine. And that became a battle cry for the United States, because once the Spanish Armada had taken over the island of Cuba, okay, General Calixto Garcia grabbed all his troops and he went up into the mountain. The United States wanted to support General Garcia, but they couldn't figure out how. So with the United States sent one of our warships and had it right in the Havana harbor. And it was sunk by the Spanish. And that was the USS Maine. And that became the battle cry for the United States. Remember the Maine. But we couldn't communicate with him. So President McKinley, you know, called Colonel Wagner, who was the Secretary of Intelligence, Military Intelligence at that time. And he said, I need to get a message to General Calixto Garcia that we are with him, that we are going to support his battle against the Spanish. How can we do this? And Colonel Wagner says, I have the man. He was like, really? Well, send him to me. I need to talk to him. So a couple of days later, you know, Lieutenant Samuel S. Rowan shows up in the White House, goes to President McKinley, and President McKinley gives him a leather folder. And he says, deliver this message to Garcia. Lieutenant Rowan saluted, turned around, and left. Several weeks later, Lieutenant Rowan returned to the White House in Washington, D.C., and delivered the response of General Garcia. And thanks to that, the United States was able to win the war and the battle, liberate the island of Cuba, and at the same time, we liberated the Philippines. Now, it was interesting is this, that as they're having this dinner table, dinner at the table, everybody was suggesting different people that the editor should write about. And somebody said, how about President McKinley, you know, because he supported the war and, you know, and the liberation of Cuba. And then the wife said, well, you know, how about, you know, Colonel Wagner, because he suggested. And then his son said, no, you should write about Rowan. And he said, why should I write about Lieutenant Rowan? He goes, because he took the message to Garcia. He didn't ask questions. He didn't say, okay, why me? Where do I find him? Where is Cuba? Oh my God, how do you spell that? Calixto Garcia. Okay, is that with a K? You know, I mean, or is that with a G? You know, he didn't ask no questions. He took the task at heart and he went and solved the problem. So he found the necessity, and that just blew his mind. He got up, he went into his office, he typed it up, he sent it, you know, it was put in the print and the press, and the particular issue of this magazine went to press. So what happened after that was incredible, because about 10 days after that, they started to get reprint orders. asking them, can I get 5,000 copies? Okay, print, ship, the people paid it and they printed it and they shipped them. Then 10,000, then 50,000, then 100,000. He goes like, wait, we got another magazine to print. Why is everybody asking for all these different reprints? So he asked the secretary, can you please call all these people that are asking for the reprints and ask him what is it that they want? And they all said that article that talks about Lieutenant Rowan. He goes like, how interesting. That article at that time did not have a title. Now we know it as a message to Garcia. Read it. You're going to be totally fascinated when you read it. And then, because it makes references to how business owners have to relate to their current employees. Okay? Because sometimes we give an employee a task and they say, oh, why me? Oh my God, I'm off on Friday. So it's kind of like, are you giving the task to the right person? And you got to find the right person to give those tasks and those responsibilities to. So he was talking about this in the message to Garcia and how to apply this for us today. And that's where Patrick Lencioni, when he did, the 6 genius personalities, it's about putting people in the right place in your organization so that you're successful and so that they are successful. Now, this past week, I had an ad. I posted an ad in several places because we're looking for a sales team. And I asked for 2 things. And I said, all you got to do is you got to send me, if this is for you, send me your CV and send me your DiSC, D-I-S-C score. Send me your DiSC score. It's a personality test. Because I want to know. Okay, from the personality test, it's going to tell me if I can put you in the right place or not. And the very first 13, guess what happened? The very first 13 applications, none were able to follow 2 simple instructions. You know what my reply to them was? Did you follow the instructions? Some replies came back like, well, I want to know more about this. So it's kind of like you're totally disqualified. Okay, so 13 went right into the trash bin. Trash bin, trash bin, trash bin, trash bin. 2 simple instructions. Send me your CV and your DiSC score. Now there was one that actually he later told me that he didn't know what a DiSC score was. So he looked it up. He did it. He sent it back to me. 16 questions. He sent it back to me. And he had the exact personality that I needed, not for that position, but the position above the one that I was looking for. So guess what? He was immediately hired. And I told him, you're going to run the department. You have the exact skills that I'm looking for. Resourcefulness, leadership. So I'm going to share with you a link. And there's something that we're going to all do here together. Okay, you're going to go there and we're going to do this. You're going to go ahead and open an account. It's all free. You're going to go ahead and, type in, open your account. Okay, you're going to do the DISC score, this score. You can do the M&M. You can do all the other scores on here too. But I want you to do it for you. And from now on, whenever you have a hiring post, I want you to require a DiSC score. Okay. That will qualify or disqualify somebody before you waste any time. Because you got to put the right person in the right place. Otherwise, you're going to be banging your head against the wall every single time. And what if you know that this person has a particular personality? And if you look at the DiSC manual, okay, and I'm going to give you guys a copy of that. I'm going to send it to you. And when you look at the DiSC manual, you're going to be able to say, okay, if this is their characteristics, how can I best communicate with them? It's this way. Oh, how about if you know that somebody's love language is, touch? Then you know that every time you walk by their desk, if you touch them, they're going to feel like, fulfilled. Then do it. because that's their love language. But if somebody doesn't have that and you touch them, you might offend them. But now you know this. Now you can manage your teams better. Okay, so let me share this link with you, and then we're going to take, okay, I just put that link in the chat. Okay, and for those of you who are here, it's understand.me. If you go to understand.me, go ahead and run your DiSC score. Go ahead and open your account. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do a 10 minutes. We're going to do a 10-minute timer, and we're going to go through that, and that should be enough time to answer the questions. I'll add that to here in just a second. And let's do that. Let's everybody go to understand.me. Go ahead and create your account, log in, you do your DiSC score, and then in 10 minutes we'll come back, and I want you guys to try to ascertain what is my DiSC score. Okay? So we'll see you all in 10 minutes. But the one thing that you want to make sure, so it's really, I'm going to wait till a couple of you get your replies before, we go any further. I have, there's, you're going to get some information on you, and there's a more in-depth study, and you can do the other ones. You can do the M&M, and then you can do the 16 personalities, and you can go back and do all of those if you like, and some of them are a little bit more in-depth, and then you can pay to get a report back. This is mine. I paid for this one, and it gives you much more in-depth. It helps you recognize why do you act that way in a certain way. I mean, they're not psychologists or anything like this, and from 16 questions, you can't go too deep, but it'll give you a better understanding of why maybe you act in a certain way, or, why, this is your personality type, and this is the better things that you should be doing. I know I did the Briggs-Myers many, many years ago, and as a missionary, going through Latin America when I was with Youth for Christ, one of the things that we had to do this before going into mission. And why was that? So that they could put us in the right place, as we went out on the mission, because that way everybody had the right role type for their personality. And that's when I was first introduced to this, and that was back in, oh my God, that's a long time ago. But that was the Briggs-Myers, which is part of what you have 16 personalities that you have inside Understand.me. You can take that later and find out, So the more you find out about yourself, the better are you going to be making decisions, because then you're going to understand in the back subconsciously, you can understand why you're making decisions that way. And even when somebody else asks you, why did you do that? Then you can pretty much almost let them know that, because this, you don't have to say, this is my personality type. It's kind of, you can answer that question a little bit more intelligently. But, but to build your teams, critically essential, especially if you know what their primary is and their secondary is. That way you can put people in the right place in your organization. And if you, like I said, for like us, if you require that to be part of the application process, you're going to find out who pays. Actually, one person sent me, there's WhatsApp, there's Telegram, there's Discord, there's Notion, there's different platforms where people can communicate. And I had somebody send me their Discord account. Okay. Now, I'm asking for people to fulfill a particular role, specifically in our world where it's immigration, and they got to fill out forms and they have to read instructions. Okay. And in a simple job application, you cannot discern or read instructions correctly and do whatever you want to do. What does that tell me? How are they going to fill out those forms later on? Okay. So from the very beginning, you already demonstrated to me that you don't have the basic qualifications that we require. It's that simple. So you discarded yourself. Okay. So, and that's why the message to Garcia resonates so deeply with what we do. And it's a really short treatise. Actually, at the beginning of the 1900s, so to give you a little bit of historical perspective, why we're talking about why all those reprints were being asked. And it was at one point that a message to Garcia, that little story was the second most printed piece of literature in the entire world, second only to the Bible. Okay, and the reason for that was because people saw, I mean, business owners saw the importance of the story to be able to give to their employees to read, that they would get the message, like, wow, I need to be resourceful in what I do and with my employer, that employers started asking for them. And one of them was, railroad magnates in the United States were ordering this for all their employees. And there was a prince from Russia, I forgot his name, that came here to visit, and had like a convention, and the owners of railroad companies were together, and they noticed that all the employees had this little booklet in their pocket. And they said, well, we want to give that to our employees in Russia too. So they ordered like 100,000 copies to take back to Russia. So, to give, all the employees of the railroad companies. And after there's a war between, the First World War, some of the Japanese found that some of the soldiers had this little booklet on their pocket. And they said, if that is so important that every soldier has it, maybe we need to get it translated and give it to our soldiers. So once they translated and they saw what the story was all about, they said like, yes, and they printed it. And then all the Japanese soldiers had this little booklet in their pockets too, because they were required to read it. So they understand that you must be resourceful, that, you need to take charge and responsibility of the tasks that you are given. And that's the gist of the story. So that's how it became the second most published piece of literature, second only to the Bible. Okay, so it's a really cool story. I actually, I want all of you to read it or look it up in YouTube. I may do a video just on that, and because I have a treatise, a thesis that I wrote on it, and I may share that, as well. There, I'll put it in my YouTube channel, and I'll give everybody a link to download it. So it's pretty cool. I love the whole story. Okay. So anybody got the results back?
Not yet. I'm still searching, waiting for mine. I'm double checking spam just in case it.
So I went back into the app, so I see numbers under natural style and that those results.
Okay.
Is that the results I'm looking for?
Yes, ma'am. You're gonna get four letters also.
Yeah, D, I, S, and C.
I knew that from you. I already knew that from you. Who else can go back into the app and give me those letters? Ms. Inyani, Ms. Bless, can you log back into the app and see the numbers?
I see the numbers.
Okay. Or the letters. Do you see the letters?
One letter C.
Okay.
Okay. DISC. I see the letters now.
Outstanding. Now, did you see that, Ms. Fundai? You're a DI. Indiani, you're a DI, right?
Yes, the two letters at the beginning. Yes.
Pretty much.
Okay. Right. Okay. So you read the description. Do you agree?
I'm about to read the description.
Mm-hmm.
Dominance and influence and inspiring. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Just look at the first two. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not surprised at all. How Ms. Blessed? Are you able to log back in and see it? Ms. Wendy?
I love them. I don't see anything.
Ms. Fonda, what do you think I am?
Mine's coming up.
A D and maybe a DS.
Mm,
Or are you a DI?
I'm a DI.
Mhm.
Awesome. 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 Use this.
All right, DICS
Yep.
for
That's
mine.
yeah, DI. And you know what? I'm not surprised.
Really?
Yep. Yep.
Oh, wow, this is so cool. You're gonna have to take all the other ones now.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna share. Let me see if I have it right here. Let me see if I can share with you guys here real quick. Let me see if this is it. I have a document here.
How did everyone else feel about theirs? I didn't hear what yours are. You got yours already?
All right, I'm gonna share with you guys here in the chat. Oh, a short description. For example, I actually did a little thing with personalities, and this is personalities that you may know or may have heard about. Like, let me give you some names: Joshua, Noah, Sarah, Daniel, Job, Martha, Luke, John, Malachi, Nathan. You guys ever heard any of these names before?
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you like to know what their personality types are?
I sure would. I sure would.
There, I just shared that with you. Okay. So, actually, let me. Yeah, I just reshared the link so you can make a copy for yourself.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. And here's the other one. Here's the bigger one, the DiSC assessment. So you're going to be able to use that. All right. So how did I use this? Let's wrap this up. How did I use this week? Okay. We're looking for people that are going to be able to serve you. All right. And we have people that we're training. So we're going to ask them all to be able to do, we're going to ask them all to do a DiSC assessment as well. I already have a couple of DiSC assessments back, so I already know that these people are going to be perfect to be able to, to support what it is that you are doing. And you're going to know this beforehand. So even before you talk to them, you're already going to know what their personality types are, because we're requiring them to do this. Okay. Now, a lot of people are going to say, I don't believe in that thing. I'm a good judgment of character. And most people that say that are broke. Okay. So I want to make sure, and I know personally, I know of billion-dollar companies that they only hire based on this. Okay, if the person fits the job role, they go. And actually, Mandy Keene, the one that you see here in that video, she's a friend, and she, that's what she does. She consults with companies, and that's how they've changed their entire HR departments, based on this particular qualifications to hire people. Okay, so it is that important for you to be sure that you have the right person. There's nothing worse than hiring a person that becomes toxic. So you want to make sure that you are slow to hire and you're really fast to fire. Okay, the wrong person in the right job will destroy your company. So you want to make sure that you have the right person in the right place at the right time. Okay, and that's what this is going to help you do. So that way, you're going to understand their personality types and you're going to put them in the right place immediately. So I'm going to leave you with that. Okay, we used it this week. I gave you the example how we used it this week when we're looking for, to bring some team members in, and immediately the key person that we were really looking for, instead of us being able to test them out to be able to bring them up, he just there it is, so he was served to us, and we were able to get them because of that. So I want to thank everybody for being here today. Make sure that you utilize this tool because it's going to make all the difference in your business. Okay? Thank you, everybody. And for those of you who are coming to Texas next week, boots on the ground, right? Yes. Yes.
Mr. Ruben.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I'll see you all on Friday morning in Houston, Texas. We'll see you all there. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for your help, Miss Kay.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
What's up, TikTok? We're done. This is a great class today. We shared some information. We were talking about using personality tests to make sure that you get the right person in the right position for you. And we used something known as a DiSC score, DiSC personality score. And it is critical, that when you are going to bring somebody into your team, that you put them in that you put the right person in the right place in your team. There's nothing worse than having the right person in the wrong position, or having the wrong person in a particular position in your organization. So you always want to make sure that both things match. And Patrick Lencioni wrote a book called The Working Genius. I highly recommend you read it too, because you're going to understand that everybody has a primary and a secondary function. Your DiSC score is also going to let you know that. But how do you bring that into the job place? It is critically important, so that you know that this person, while they're really, really good at this, in a secondary role, they can support somebody else. So they can be the second to somebody else in case something happens, and vice versa. So everybody always has a primary and a secondary role in your organization, and they can cover back and forth. So I highly recommend that book too. It is called The Working Genius by Mark Lencioni. And listen, I'm going to tell you right now, when you get your hands in that book, you are going to absolutely devour it, because it is so well written that you're going to enjoy every single word, every single paragraph, every single chapter. You're going to get that book, and if you're like me, you're not going to put it down until you're done with it. And I was even taking notes on this slide, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And it actually, the book comes with a chart, so it is so cool that you got this big, huge chart that you can utilize. Okay. And, I have it, I just brought it from my office here to the studio to share it with you guys, because it is fascinating to have it there. It's kind of like, oh yeah, he fits here, but it has a secondary role, and you can just move people around. So anyhow, it was a pleasure sharing with you guys today. And this is a class that we do here. And it's called the Implementation Workshop. And we do this internally into our academy. And today we were sharing it with you. So take care, everybody. Have a good day.